world of work may have changed. Progress starts with small steps. From the conversations we have to the connections we make to the ideas we share. It won't happen all at once. But if we keep turning to those around us, we'll find a way. Hey guys, whether it's starting a new job, choosing a new career, or making a difference. Because with our communities by our side, there's no telling where our next small steps could lead.
Mayor Kamei, want to kick it off for us?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Ellen Kamei. It's my honor and privilege to serve as the mayor of Mountain View and as today's moderator for our autonomous vehicle conversation. Each of our featured panelists is going to spend a few minutes spotlighting what they're working on, the different problems they are trying to solve in the autonomous vehicle space. And then we'll have a panel discussion, and please feel free to put your questions into the chat so that we can answer your questions for a Q&A portion. Today we have wonderful panelists joining us, and so I'm just going to introduce them. First, we have Dan Mitchell. He's the City and Community Engagement lead at Nuro, and his pronouns are he, him. Next is Sydnee Journel, Government Relations Manager with Aurora, and her pronouns are she, her. And last we have Noelle Jung, she, her, Government and Community Relations Manager at Waymo. And a few things about the companies that are joining us. Nuro is building autonomous technology to power their unique zero occupancy electric delivery vehicle, the R2, not to be confused with Star Wars. I had a chance to visit their office last Friday, and I'm excited to hear more about how this technology can help our neighborhoods. At Aurora, they will be sharing more about some of their latest updates, including their focus on autonomous trucking, as you can see in Sydnee's picture, and also sharing with us their brand new Mountain View offices. Waymo will be talking about their autonomous driving technology known as the Waymo driver and their mission to make it safer and easy for people and things to get where they're going. It's going to be a really exciting panel. So first off, we're going to hear briefly from each of our speakers as they introduce their companies just a bit more. And to kick it off, we have Dan from Nuro. Dan, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Mayor Kamei. It's really exciting to be here. Whoop, did that, whoop, hang on 1 second, sorry. Let's make sure that this works here. Sorry, hang on 1 second. Are you seeing my screen okay?
I think there's just a 10-second delay or so.
Sorry about that. So very exciting to be here. Thank you very much. Of course, our technology is still a work in progress, just like our autonomous vehicles. But I grew up here in the Silicon Valley community, and so it's really exciting to be back here talking about what we're working on, especially as part of the technology showcase here from the Chamber of Commerce in Mountain View. This is really an opportunity to inspire a lot of folks to get into this technology and share what we're doing. So really excited to talk about why Nuro is building a sustainable delivery service. To begin with, what we're seeing is the way we shop today is not sustainable. Almost 43% that we take in our vehicles, according to Nationwide survey, is for shopping and errands. That's personal trips as well as delivery services that are really not set up today in a sustainable way. We're seeing a high number of traffic collisions, again, with personal vehicles, folks distracted in their vehicle, as well as delivery drivers that may be rushing to get you what you need. We're seeing a lot of environmental damage with the way folks are choosing to use their personal gas-powered or ICE vehicles to go ahead and get those items. Then we're also seeing a lot of economic strain from our businesses that are really struggling, especially during the pandemic, with delivery services and the high cost of actually going about and getting you your items delivered to your house. We're also seeing drivers churn through the roles as a delivery driver. Folks are not, it's not a sustainable career growth or career trajectory. And then finally, there's a lack of access. We know there are a lot of food deserts nationwide where folks really don't have access to fresh food or delivery services. And so what Nuro is doing with our neighborhood electric autonomous zero occupant vehicles is really working to make our communities more livable with this safer vehicle that has zero emissions, give people back the time with an affordable delivery service, create long-lasting regional benefits for our local economy and our local businesses, and then finally improve access to make sure folks have that healthy foods in a cost-efficient and sustainable way. So our fleet on the road in California, Arizona, and Texas, where we operate today, includes two different types of vehicles. We have a Prius vehicle that's retrofitted with the self-driving technology. You may have seen these in your neighborhood in the Mountain View area here. It's what we use for our mapping technology, our software testing, and some autonomous deliveries as well, with a safety driver behind the wheel. Whenever you see a Prius vehicle on the road, there will always be a driver in the vehicle monitoring the technology as either it's mapping or the vehicle is driving itself. With the Nuro R2 vehicle, our custom-built all-electric vehicle, there is no one inside the vehicle. We're actually the only company that has received an exemption from the US Department of Transportation to put a autonomous vehicle like this on the public roadway. It's fully licensed in the state of California, Arizona, and Texas, where we're driving. And it's actually on the roads doing real deliveries. Some folks may have seen, if you've been watching the basketball playoff games that ended last night, you may have seen actually some of the commercials that Domino's Pizza, one of our partners, is running with this Nuro R2 vehicle. We're super excited. This is on the road performing delivery services today. We have also done some testing of the vehicle in our local communities here in Silicon Valley. And we hope to do more testing and future deployments in the coming months and years. Finally, as we're going about doing this testing in the neighborhoods, we want to make sure that we adhere to some community operations principles based on the feedback we've gotten from local elected officials like Mayor Kamei, as well as other people in the neighborhood. So we do a lot of education about autonomous vehicles at community events. You see in the lower right corner here, the Mountain View Art and Wine Festival when we were in person in 2019. That was a fun, exciting event where folks got to see the vehicle. We set reasonable levels of vehicle travel on public roadways. We don't want to overwhelm the community with too many vehicles during this testing phase. And so we set kind of reasonable levels based on travel patterns in the community. We protect neighborhood privacy with we do have cameras and sensors on the vehicle that help the vehicle drive, but it's not something we're going to go ahead and post publicly online. It's not a mapping vehicle that's going to be available to the general public. We also provide opportunities for neighborhood feedback. All of our vehicle operators, as they're driving around and testing in the Prius vehicles, will have actually a feedback form and be able to answer some questions for folks who do have questions about what we're doing. And then finally, it's about supporting local programs that share our mission. We love hosting local robotics teams at our office, working with bike groups and other people in the area that really support that safer roads, better access, better jobs for our community. And so it's something that we're all really excited about. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Mayor Kamei.
Great. Thanks so much, Dan, for that exciting presentation. I'm sure people will already start putting their questions into the chat. So now we'll hear from Sydnee at Aurora.
Thank you. And let me see if I can make this work. Let me know if you all can see it. Great. Wonderful. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Sydnee. I'm a part of the government relations team at Aurora, and just very excited to be here. Thank you, Mayor Kamei, for hosting this panel, and to the Chamber for the number of events that you have put on virtually and hopefully in person coming soon. So just appreciate being here. So for those who might not be as familiar with Aurora, our mission is to deliver the benefits of self-driving technology safely, quickly, and broadly. And I think you're going to hear about some of the benefits of AVs. I think, you know, myself, Noelle, and Dan, you know, we have certain similar talking points. So you might see this repeated, but some of the benefits that we see at Aurora for self-driving technology. The first one is its ability to increase safety. This is a stat that I think many folks are familiar with, but in 2020, Americans drove less, and yet the number of injuries and fatalities increased on our roadways. So, you know, driving just isn't as safe as it should be. I won't go into huge detail, but would just recommend we have on our blog, aurora.tech/safety, a lot of information on some of the safety practices that we have. So, you know, a safety report, our safety advisory board, safety management system that we use, very similar to commercial aviation and rail. And you can also learn more about our VP of Safety, Nat Buse. So would highly recommend that. Some of the other benefits that we see are expanding access. There are over 6 million individuals in the US that have disabilities and just don't have access to the transportation they need. On a more local level, I think about how it can revitalize cities. So as we think about shared mobility, we can start to rethink how we use parking and downtown garages and make that space available for everybody. And then last but certainly not least, one of the benefits we see as well is transforming logistics. And in the US, about 72.5% of total goods movement is done via trucking. And the pandemic has underscored how important trucking and long haul trucking is to the economy. And we see this technology as helping that industry be safer, more reliable, and quicker. So those are just some of the benefits that we see. A little bit of history on Aurora itself. Aurora was founded in 2017 by leaders in the self-driving tech space. So our CEO is Chris Urmson, formerly led Google's self-driving car project. Our Chief Technology Officer is Drew Bagnall, formerly at Uber. And our Chief Product Officer is Sterling Anderson, formerly at Tesla. But you'll see here the range of expertise within our leadership team. And so I promised to cover some of the industry updates. We've had a pretty exciting year here at Aurora. So just last week, we actually announced that we're planning to go public. And with that announcement, we also mentioned that we will be launching our first autonomous product in trucking by the end of 2023. Earlier in the year, in January or so, we acquired Uber's autonomous technology group. So doubled in size and super excited to have their team and expertise as part of the Aurora family. On the trucking side, we also announced partnerships with PACCAR. They manufacture the Peterbilts and the Kenworth trucks, and with Volvo trucks. So when you combine PACCAR and Volvo trucks, we're now partnering with pretty much about 50% of the trucking manufacturers. So very excited for that. And then we also unveiled our first light LiDAR, which is really game-changing LiDAR for us, allows us to see, you know, beyond 300 meters at highway speed. So if I have time, I'll go into depth a little bit more on that. But those are some of the exciting updates just in the last year. Just to give you a sense of kind of the vehicles on which you might see the Aurora driver. This is just a snapshot of some of our current vehicles. You won't see thousands of our cars on the road. We reserve on-road testing for very specific use cases. So much of our testing is actually done in simulation. But these are some of the vehicles out there. And kind of as background, the way we think about it, the Aurora driver it's made up of a self-driving software, self-driving hardware, and then the sensors, right? Your camera, your radar, and your LiDAR. And that together, that Aurora driver is vehicle agnostic. So you can put it on the semi trucks, or you can put it on the passenger cars that you see on the sides of the screen. And kind of to give you a sense of that, last year when we launched our next generation truck, we were actually able to put our technology on the truck in just a matter of weeks, and to start testing the technology. We were testing in Texas, and actually to start moving products. So if anyone has ever had Takis from your local mini marts, we were working with Barcel to move Takis across Texas. So that's kind of to give you a sense of the vehicle agnostic piece. We're very much focused on trucking right now, followed by passenger cars, and then delivery and logistics. And all of our vehicles, we test at level 4. And I'm assuming some folks may be very familiar with this, but a level 4 vehicle is fully autonomous. So it doesn't require a driver in the front seat. And it is very different from your levels 1 through 3, which are driver assist type technology. So that's a little bit on our vehicles. Just to give you a sense of our span, I'm a Bay Area native, so I tend to focus a lot on the Bay Area, but we actually have offices in 8 different cities, 7 different states, and we're at about over 1,600 to date, and we're hiring. So if you're interested or know someone in any of these locations, take a look at it's aurora.tech/careers. Lots of jobs are posted. But this is kind of my most exciting piece, and I'm super just pleased to showcase this because this is brand new for us. But this is our brand new Mountain View office. We just moved in this year. I've been there. It is just beautiful. 110,000 square feet. We are using every square inch of it. So office space, labs, garage, R&D, and just thrilled to have this new space and to be moving to Mountain View. So and on that note, I'm also very excited because there is a number of community spaces within this office. And so my hope is that as we start to return to in-person activities, that we can invite the community in, and folks like yourself on this call to learn more about the technology, to see the vehicles, and to speak to some of our technical experts, on the product and eng team. So looking forward to that. And just on that note, over the past year, we've taken community engagement very seriously, and have had to pivot during the pandemic. So I've had to kind of think through, how do we do that in a kind of new environment? But you'll see that we've got partnerships both nationally, but we also partner with local organizations in all of our offices and locations. And this is just a snapshot of some of them. My goal, though, is really to increase the number of partnerships we have here locally. That's key and core to Aurora's values. And then I'll just end on, I think at 10:10 or so, I'm hosting office hours. So if anyone wants to come chat and learn a little bit more about Aurora, I'd encourage you to join. We'd love to have you there. And I will pass it back to Mayor Kamei.
Thank you, Sydnee. I love that every presentation I see, I'm learning something new. And I think that's what's really exciting about the autonomous vehicle space, is that it's ever changing and evolving. And so, and it's really exciting to see your new home in Mountain View. Congratulations. It's really great. And so now we'll turn it over to Noelle from Waymo.
Thank you so much. Can you all see my screen? Fantastic. Well, I first really quickly want to begin by thanking the Mountain View Chamber of Commerce for hosting this amazing event and bringing people together during trying times. So appreciate them for that. And then also want to quickly thank Mayor Kamei for moderating our upcoming panel, which we're very excited to participate in. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start discussing what we're working on at Waymo. And so at Waymo, we are building the world's most experienced driver. We are an autonomous driving technology company with a mission to make it safe and easy for people and things to get where they're going. Safety is at the core of our mission because driving today, unfortunately, is not as safe as it otherwise could be. The World Health Organization estimates that annually there are 50 million injuries and 1.35 million deaths due to vehicle crashes. And in the US, 94% of vehicle crashes are due to some type of human driving choice or error. Unlike the human driver, the Waymo driver is never distracted, tired, or intoxicated. So we call our autonomous driving technology the Waymo driver. Initially, we started off as the Google self-driving car project in 2009, and then in 2016 spun off to be our own standalone company, Waymo. And so for more than a decade, we've been putting our technology through the world's longest and toughest driving tests. We've driven more than 20 million miles on public roads, over 20 billion miles in simulation, and across 25 cities in the US. That's over 1,000 years of human driving experience that benefits every vehicle in our fleet. This graphic shares an overview of the Waymo sensor suite, which is comprised of LiDAR, radar, and a vision system. These sensors combine to offer the Waymo driver a 360-degree view around the vehicle, and it can also see up to 3 football fields and even in the dark of night. This hardware, combined with the Waymo driver software, allows the Waymo driver to successfully navigate its surroundings. And so a few key questions that have to be answered are, where am I? And so before any Waymo vehicle goes out onto a public road, our mapping team takes very detailed maps of the area. And then that information is combined with those sensors that we just discussed to offer a real-time view of the surroundings that the Waymo driver is in. In addition to that, these sensors and software are constantly monitoring around the vehicle and is on the lookout for road users and objects. In addition to that, to identify what's going to happen next, the Waymo driver takes information such as the speed and trajectory of objects around it to predict possible paths that those objects might take. And then all of that information taken into account, the Waymo driver decides what to do and selects the optimized speed, lane, and steering maneuvers to progress along the route safely. And so we're excited to say that Waymo is offering the world's first and only fully autonomous ride-hailing service in Chandler, Arizona. So this technology is currently being applied there, and a little bit of background information on how we got to this point. So in Chandler, Arizona, we started testing at small scale in 2017. And then in 2019, we began collecting feedback from a group of early riders to get feedback, and that feedback shaped the future of our autonomous driving service. And then later in October of 2020, we opened up Waymo One, which again is that 100% fully autonomous ride-hail service, which is now available to members of the public in Chandler, Arizona. And they can hail Waymo One rides via our app. And so now in Arizona, we serve thousands of monthly active users to get from point A to point B during their daily lives. We've also taken the experience and our learning from the passenger car side and have applied it to commercial goods and delivery through what we call Waymo Via. And this includes trucking and local delivery. And with Waymo Via, local delivery and trucking, we're exploring how to make those industries more safe and efficient. And so being that mobility and access for all and safety are at the core of Waymo's values, we've also partnered with national groups that advocate for increased road safety and also advocate for the senior and disability community. Being that that's the case, we have launched a public education online resource that spotlights these third-party community advocate voices in regards to the benefits and future promise that the autonomous vehicles can provide in terms of safety and additional benefits. And so through online resources such as Let's Talk Autonomous Driving and events like this, we're engaging with the public to share information about our technology and the future of autonomous driving. And so without further ado, I'll conclude by just thanking the audience for your time and your attention, and then we'll turn things back to Mayor Kamei to moderate our panel.
Great, thanks so much, Noelle. And want to thank the Chamber, as all of you have, in being able to have this really interesting and fascinating discussion. So at this time, I'm going to ask a few questions just to get things going. I see a few in the chat, but if you don't mind, please feel free to put it into the chat so our panelists can answer. And you can feel free to say, which company or which person you'd like to direct your question to, or if it's for all of our panelists. I know there's a lot to learn and discuss in the autonomous vehicle space, and I know we just kind of scratched the surface this morning. So really appreciate the three of you taking time to tell us each about your companies and the unique aspects of AV technology and the problems that you're trying to solve. So I think just to kick things off, to the three of you, why are so many AV companies chosen Mountain View to headquarter their companies? Noelle, how about we start with you? I see you unmuted.
Sure. Well, wonderful question. And I think it all ties into kind of the culture of Mountain View, of being a very innovative and forward-thinking place, especially in regards to transit. You have a lot of public transportation infrastructure. Not only that, you work on innovative things such as the Grand Boulevard Initiative, right? And so that makes it a very appealing place for AV companies to call home. And of course, we were born in Mountain View. We started off as a Google self-driving car project, as I mentioned, in 2009. But really the focus and emphasis on transportation and how forward-thinking the city is what keeps us there.
That's good to hear. Thank you. Dan?
Yeah, I'll also credit Google and Waymo for kind of part of the reason why Nuro is in Mountain View as well. Two of our two co-founders actually came from Google Waymo's self-driving car project, and actually Aurora, one of their founders, has as well. So Mountain View has a history of innovation and building really innovative technologies, even back to aviation and aerospace work as well. And so this community has a lot of talent, especially for the early parts of this research and development into autonomous technology. It's a community where folks can hopefully at some point meet in person again, but exchange ideas. And then, as they have a new idea or something different, they can, spin off a new company or a new startup. And it's really an innovative startup ecosystem that Mountain View has built. That's one of the reasons why Nuro has headquartered here. It's also, great relationships with the city and, a forward-looking city council, as well as staff that can, we don't have all the answers to how this technology is going to impact the community yet, but it's having these engaging conversations with, again, city staff, the police department, to really figure out, okay, how does this technology impact the community? How can we go about and safely deploy this technology into a usable commercial service? And so it's something that we're really, really excited to be here and the pool of talent and working with city officials in the neighborhood as well.
I like that. I think public-private partnerships have been kind of really critical, especially we've seen during the pandemic. Sydnee, how about you? What do you think?
I would just echo what Noelle and Dan have already mentioned. It is, great location, pool of talent here that is incredible, and being able to bring a new technology, emerging technology, to a community that is welcoming and that is, city government is willing to work with us and to have that partnership. All those things are key, and certainly I'm biased. I'm local here. So, I mean, why wouldn't you want to move here? But yes, I think it's a wonderful place for employees.
Yes, I think about how lucky we are to have sunshine almost every day. We need rain, but but it's wonderful. So Noelle, we've gotten a couple questions in the chat, and maybe you can start us off, which is, what is the difference between AV and driver assist?
Thank you for the question. So the Society of Automotive Engineers actually have a scale to differentiate the different levels of automation. And so levels 1 through 3 are more focused on driver assist. And so at those levels, a human driver is required to intervene at various levels, versus level 4 and above on that scale, which is fully autonomous, does not require any human driver involvement. And so at Waymo, we're seeking level 4 and above technology. We feel that that is the most effective way to advance safety, because human drivers, as mentioned before, they do often get distracted or are not able to kind of intervene when driver assist might require them to do so, which is why we are designing a 100% autonomous driving system and driver, the Waymo driver, that does not require any human interaction.
Great, thank you. Well, I think, I think another thing people are wondering is, Dan, when is my car going to be self-driving? When can I try this really cool service?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I wish my car was fully self-driving and I could fall asleep in the back and end up where I needed to go. But unfortunately, I think that type of technology for a personal vehicle is still probably far off in terms of being able to sleep in the back with a level 4 system kind of in your own vehicle. What Nuro is doing is we are actually building the full system. So we're building the actual full vehicle designed with no one inside. That 0 occupant vehicle is a very new type of vehicle. And so we have to go through the process to get that built, tested, and then deployed into commercial services. We're also building the software, and then we're operating the commercial service, the fleet management, and the business aspect of it as well. We've been able to actually move very quickly on some pilot deployments. And so, today in Houston, Texas, you can actually go and place your order via Domino's Pizza. You can order via the Alexa or Tweet or Snapchat to place your Domino's order. They have some really great tech built into the Domino's site. And then after the checkout process, you can actually have the option of, would you like your delivery or sent by a Nuro 0 occupant vehicle, or would you like a human driver to bring it to you? And so it's a really, really exciting thing that folks can see today in Houston. Noelle mentioned Waymo's operating in Chandler, Arizona right now. You can hail a vehicle with a ride-hailing app. So there are some technologies on the road today that folks can use. It's just not everywhere yet. It's going to take time. It's going to take resources to scale that up. And so we're really, really excited about the potential. However, it will take a couple of years probably before kind of there are more widespread uses. We are very excited on the Nuro side. We have received the permits we need to deploy these vehicles commercially into a driverless delivery service. And so we're really excited about some hopefully upcoming announcements with partners that we may have where, you could be one of the first people in the state of California in the Mountain View area to get that driverless delivery services from a local business or restaurant.
Exciting. I can't wait till I can order things just with a click of my phone. And I think one of the things that all of you brought up was not only the safety aspect, but the accessibility aspect. And I think, Dan, you just mentioned, people can also say if they'd like it autonomous, but maybe with still delivered to their door for accessibility issues. And I think that's something that's, really critical, as I think Sydnee was mentioning, how many millions of people in the US have a disability and need that.
Yeah, Mayor, I will actually add on to that. You know, we don't have all the answers yet, but we know this is a really important community to serve. And so during the pandemic, we did some work with Meals on Wheels to try to figure out, okay, how could this work to help out this community? We're also in Houston, Texas, where we do have today the grocery delivery services with Kroger Foods active. We are running a research pilot with their metro transportation paratransit services, where we provide free delivery to the folks that are eligible for their what they call MetroLift paratransit services. So rather than them going to the store to get all their items, we can bring everything to them. And so we are continuing to learn about that and build our technology out. It's really important. We could build some really awesome tech. We need to make sure that it's useful for everyone in our community. And so that's what we're figuring out now through these early commercial pilot programs.
Thank you. Well, we're getting a few questions in the chat, and so I'll ask this one before we go to all our audience questions. But what sensors are on the vehicles? Who would like to start with this one?
I'm happy to take a stab, and then Noelle and Dan, please chime in. So there's, I'll speak to the Aurora side. We have cameras, we have radar, and we have LiDAR. And those sensors together, that's what allows us to perceive the environment. And you can imagine that's very important, because based on that environment, the driver will make a decision on what the best course of action is. And so I'll speak a little bit to the LiDAR piece of it, and just note, I'm not a technical expert, so I'd recommend our Aurora blog has lots of information on this, especially with some of the leaders and founders in this technology. But LiDAR for us, we unveiled what we call our first light LiDAR. And this is really game changing because it allows us to see farther. And I'll give you kind of a very high level overview of why that is. But your traditional LiDAR is an AM type of LiDAR. And what that means is it sends out, brief light pulses at a fixed frequency. And those, bounce off an object, they return to the sensor, and you can measure the location, right? The distance. The difference with our technology is it is based on what we call frequency modulated continuous wave, quite a mouthful. But basically what that means is rather than fixed frequency, it's a continuous wave of light at modulated frequencies. And so that allows us, we can see farther, we can now measure speed, which, so instantaneously we can know if that object, is it coming towards us or away? And then it also has the benefit of less interference. So when you're thinking about the sun, for example, solar interference or interference from other sensors. So for us, that's, we certainly cameras and radar are important as well, but this is a technology that lets us see much farther, more reliably. And you can imagine when you're driving a semi truck at highway speeds, just how important that is. So that's just on the Aurora side, but wanted to share that piece, and you can find out a lot more online if anyone wants to see the details.
Yeah, let me jump in, and actually I can share back to my screen here to see, some of the sensors that are on the Nuro vehicle here as well. So not only, so we've built this, again, custom vehicle rather than retrofitting an existing vehicle. So we could place that LiDAR on top and give the vehicle that full 360-degree view. That LiDAR piece is really important to what we do. We've also made the vehicle narrower in the design because we don't need to have people sitting side by side in it, and we can just do delivery services. I will also mention, in addition to the multiple cameras and radar sensors we have on the vehicle, we do have ultrasonic sensors. So similar to the technology you might have in your passenger vehicle, where it goes beep 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 as you're parking. We have some of those sensors on our vehicle as well to detect objects really close by as we're pulling up to the curb to complete a delivery. We also have additional cameras that are on the vehicle and are currently going through our testing phase for thermal imaging. So vulnerable road users that are out on the road, people, bicyclists, provide that heat signature that we believe could help improve the safety of our systems. And so we want to kind of integrate that into our stack as well, that thermal imaging camera. We also have a microphone on the vehicle to detect emergency vehicles there as well. If you're approaching a stop sign and there's you're first, but there's a car coming, to your right that has a siren going, there's a very high likelihood that that vehicle is going to blow through that stop sign because it's an emergency vehicle going to, being a response to an emergency situation. And so our vehicle can detect that siren sensor, and then we will react appropriately in those situations. And so, there's a lot of different sensor technology that I think we all have on our vehicles. It's really about those extra layers of safety, because at the level 4, there's no one around to, take control from the autonomous system. And so, it's really, really important to have those redundant sensing systems in there as well.
And I'll just kind of echo what my industry colleagues have already shared in regards to the sensors. So for Waymo, we also do use a LiDAR vision system, which includes 29 cameras and a radar system. And we also do have microphones on the vehicle to detect, as Dan was saying, emergency vehicles as well. And I think Sydnee really kind of spoke to the technical aspects of how those work. So I won't dive too deeply into that. But if you're curious to learn more about Waymo's specific sensors and the technology behind it, I do encourage you to visit our website because we have very robust information in regards to our sensor system and how they work together to give that 360-degree view for the Waymo driver, which I was talking about in the presentation.
Great, thank you. So I think some of these questions in the chat we've touched on a little bit, so I'll let folks expand if they'd like. So this one is for you, Dan. It's about what would be the necessary technology to realize these kinds of autonomous vehicles, LiDAR sensor and processing computer to analyze information in real time, ?
Yeah, there's a lot of technology that goes into all of these systems. So, the camera sensors, the radar sensors, LiDAR is stuff that, we've talked about already, but there's a lot of, third party that are working on this type of technology, as well as things we're developing in-house with this technology as well. So that sensing system is really important. The compute powering the system is also really important. And so, there's a lot in terms of computer infrastructure that we need. We do have a way of having the vehicles communicate with a central command center as well. This is really useful when you're monitoring a fleet of vehicles that, are traveling around the city, completing deliveries. If there's a customer that needs help locating their vehicle, having a command center that's able to monitor all of this technology and all the vehicles on the road is really important as well. So there's, a cloud infrastructure technology that's really powering our services too. And then, we have a lot of hardware and fleet technology that is also a really important piece of what we're doing. And then the folks working on the computer systems as well. So, software working on machine learning researchers, artificial intelligence pieces. We even have folks that are working on our mapping piece that have with GIS degrees or graphic information systems, kind of almost like a mapping or cartographer degree that you could imagine in there as well. So there's a lot of opportunities to get involved. I highly recommend any students that are looking to explore or careers in self-driving, look at the jobs that are posted kind of on each of our websites, so you can see what type of roles we're hiring for and what skills are required for those jobs, so you can learn, because we're all growing very, very quickly, and we're going to need a lot more people to help us realize the true benefits of this technology. And so we'd love to have you join us at some point in whatever role or whatever degree you have. I personally have a political science degree, and so there's the right fit regardless of what your education is or experience.
I think that what you're saying, Dan, is all degrees can be used for any job. I think that's what you're saying for our high schoolers who are watching and parents. So Dan, this one is back to you. It says, if you consider testing the service at a hotel, we'll be happy to discuss options. Hotel Avanti.
Yeah, that's great. I think there's so many, once we build out this platform of self-driving vehicles, autonomous delivery vehicles at a very low cost, there's a lot of, local florists, dry cleaners, but hotels where, folks may not own a vehicle, but they may need kind of a couple of necessities delivered to their door. Right now, that actually costs $15 to $20 to have a person, go to the grocery store or pharmacy, pick up a toothbrush for you and bring it to the hotel. With Nuro delivery, we believe we can dramatically drop that cost and make it really affordable to just get those quick little necessities. And so I think, there's a lot of, whether it's our downtown businesses or new hotels in the area, I think there's going to be a lot of really great businesses opportunity that folks are reaching out to us already. And then hopefully we'll be able to kind of launch it and work with them on when we have those delivery services deployed in the area too.
I love it. I love talking about how we help our local business community. So you already touched on this a little bit, Dan. So I think I'm going to turn to Sydnee and Noelle, which is, it says, would you guys hire a high schooler? So Sydnee, I know you kind of dropped some stuff into the chat, but maybe you and Noelle can talk about it a little bit. And I know Dan just did too.
Yeah, happy to jump in there. So I think you saw, we're expanding, right? We've got a lot of jobs coming online. So I'd recommend, folks, if you're interested, we have offices in a range of states. So take a look. But in terms of just the opportunities, right? I think Dan alluded to this, how important it is, right? That we be a part of this too, thinking about that talent pipeline. And how can we help, right? How can we think about, what are the skills needed? And myself included, I studied environmental policy. So I didn't even know that there was such an industry as autonomous vehicles when I graduated. So could never have actually prepared for this role specifically. I didn't know it existed. But one of the programs that we have is we launched a program called Jumpstart. And this is on the heels of the pandemic. For anyone who's taken a career pause. So whether it's to take care of children or, someone at home, these are what we're calling returnships to help you get back into the workforce. And so very excited for that. Just one of the many efforts that we have, but I'll put that in the chat so that if anyone has recommendations and referrals, please share the link widely.
And I encourage people to visit our website, waymo.com/careers, to look at the opportunities that are there. I want to just echo what Dan and Sydnee have shared in regards to kind of the skill sets that are welcomed at AV companies. I myself have a social welfare degree, and so applying that to an autonomous driving technology company isn't necessarily what traditionally comes to mind, yet here I am. So encourage everyone to look at our careers page for opportunities. And then in regards to the question about would we hire a high schooler, I think for that in particular, I would encourage you all to kind of look at the careers page for the skills that you're interested in, so that when you're of age, you can pursue internships and opportunities that we have available. And then the other thing is in regards to kind of youth, we do participate in mentorship programs in the Bay Area to get youth excited about STEM and planning for their future career. So while employment opportunities may not be available, there are some mentorship programs available.
Thanks, Noelle. Yes, mentorship and internships are really great ways, I think, to help you figure out what you like. All right, Sydnee, this one's back to you. When the LiDAR sensor, I think it says maybe when will the LiDAR sensor module be available in the consumer market? Can I buy it? And how much will the cost be your target?
That is a great question, and I will be fully candid that I do not know the answer to that question. So yes, we have. You can learn about our FirstLight LiDAR online, and I'd recommend, because it's fascinating. You can hear from the founders, Randy and Trent, who created this technology. It's fascinating to listen to them. But in terms of when that'll be available, for sale. Unfortunately, I don't know that answer. So when I do, happy to share it.
Great, thank you. So this one, maybe one of you can talk about it. It says, I am sure you can make AV safer than human drivers, but how will you protect your systems from software hacks that cause safety issues? Dan, you want to kick this one off maybe?
Sure. Yeah. So, cybersecurity is really important in all the different systems that we're talking about. And so if you think about our onboard technology as well as our cloud infrastructure as well. And so we have a cybersecurity team. We actually published a vehicle safety assessment that was shared with the US Department of Transportation. And so that's available online, nuro.ai/safety, I believe. And you can take a look. It has a more detail on kind of the cybersecurity aspects there, but it's a very, very important consideration at what we're thinking about. We also do have cameras all over the vehicle, right? It's very helpful for having our vehicle see where it's going. It's also helpful for protecting any packages or items inside the vehicle. As we work with law enforcement in our different operating areas, one of their common questions is, how do we prevent someone from putting something inside the vehicle that's not supposed to be in there? And so that camera technology is really helpful, not just for the autonomous services, but also for the purpose of what we're doing with delivery services as well. And so, we can link that autonomous technology with the safety and security of the vehicle too.
Great, thank you. So the next question, and maybe Noelle or Sydnee, one of you could tackle this one, is it's great to see the different aspects of autonomous vehicle tech. There appear to be a number of ways you are pursuing separate paths and also places you could overlap or leverage each other's work, such as making changes to state driving codes or working with GPS providers. Where are the most common points of intersection and collaboration?
Yeah, happy to kick this one off. I think, and Noelle mentioned this as well in her presentation, but there's a piece around educating the public on the benefits of autonomous vehicles. And I think that is where, and I won't speak for everyone, but I think we're aligned on this, where we see that that's important for us to do, right? We're members of the community. We understand that members of the community have questions about the technology. And so part of our role is to help educate, to help folks understand, especially when you haven't had a chance to use the product itself. So I think that's one area where I see a lot of collaboration and just appreciate working with my counterparts here and colleagues in the industry, just on that education piece.
And I'll add on there, yeah, we are all members of the education group and community and kind of have shared joint organizations there. I think we're going to find there are more and more areas of overlap as this technology matures as well. If you look at the start of the automotive industry or the aviation industry, there were tens or hundreds of manufacturers in some cases of automobiles that were each doing their own thing, or with the aviation industry. And then you ended up seeing kind of tier 1 suppliers, tier 2 suppliers, tier 3 suppliers that kind of work to share technology among different groups. But this is still the early stages of this technology, and we see there's tremendous benefits, but it's going to take time. And so I think there will be a lot of opportunities for overlap if it's not kind of happening right now on the technical side.
And I just quickly want to add, in addition to public education and being aligned with our industry partners in terms of making the public more knowledgeable about this technology and what it can mean for the future, it's also really important for us to engage in those third-party stakeholders who have mission alignment with AVs and are able to tell their stories from the lived experience that they have, either being blind or a senior and having difficulty navigating their daily lives. And so I think that is also very essential, so that people and policymakers can think very critically about the future benefits of this technology. And in addition to that, I'll just put in a plug for the Mountain View Chamber of Commerce. So they have been a great partner, and we're all involved with the Mountain View Chamber of Commerce, and that kind of they've curated a space for us to kind of collaborate and come together through events like this or have policy conversations, which we appreciate.
Great, thank you. So we still have lots of questions, and I know we're getting close, so we'll do like a rapid fire answering. And this one is for you, Sydnee. How can we get technical details of level 4 offering?
Yes, so very quickly, right now, if you're asking whether our technology is for sale publicly, I'd say not yet, right? We're going to launch an autonomous trucking product in the late 2023. But on our investor relations page, we have a technical presentation that goes through more detail than I can provide. So I'd highly recommend our founders actually speak through the presentation, so it points you in that direction.
Great, thank you. Noelle, this one's for you. What point would be the different benefit between Waymo truck and Aurora LiDAR module with PACCAR truck?
Apologies, I don't know if I fully understand the question. I think it's a differentiation between Waymo Via and Aurora. I'll let kind of Sydnee answer for kind of how Aurora's trucking operation works, and I'll just speak on behalf of Waymo. So at Waymo, we are working on testing our trucking technology in Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. And so we've seen a lot of benefits for what that can provide to the trucking industry in regards to safety, efficiency, and then also to fill short gaps in driver staffing and employment levels, because that actually is an industry where it is difficult to fill those positions. And so I think Waymo has a very robust set of sensors that have been tested through, that have been tested the longest in regards to our passenger car service, and we've applied that now to Waymo trucking. So that's a little bit of background on Waymo Via, and I'll let Sydnee speak to Aurora's trucking system.
Yeah, and I'm going to put in a plug for, I have office hours in about 10 minutes. So happy to have you all join me. We can talk more about this, but I think I've said it before, First Light LiDAR, that's one of our sensors. So, you can type that in, you can learn all about it. But those are, we find that game changing, and that's in combination with the camera and the radar technology.
Yeah, I'll just chime in and say, I'm available, dan@nuro.ai. We have a 1-800 number, 1833 NeuroBots, if you want to call in and leave us a message as well. And so, we're definitely open to continuing these conversations with the community and getting that community feedback in how we operate. It's really, really important for us to continue to have these conversations and all keep learning as this technology progresses.
And I think that we are maybe coming to our natural conclusion. And I know there's actually a slide that has all of our websites on it, so it might be a good time to share that with the audience.
So Noelle, actually, we're gonna go, I think, a little bit over, if that's all right with you, not to jump the shark there a little bit. I'm gonna try to get through a couple more questions.
Oh, okay.
We have so many in the chat. So I was just about to say that, well, this one's directed to you. So we'll go over maybe by 2 minutes if that works for everybody. So this one, Noelle, this is to you. Can you please share the link to see level 5 tech specification commercial vehicle? You can just drop that in. And
Sure.
then this one is not directed towards anybody, but maybe one of you can jump in and take it. Are there plans to, and maybe this is just a yes or no question. Are there plans to bring driverless ride hailing to Mountain View in the near future?
I can briefly answer that, our focus right now is trucking, right? So we've announced, a focus on passenger cars in 2024. So for now, our focus remains on trucking.
I'll jump in. You know, Nuro doesn't have the plans to do ride hailing in the area, but we are working on delivery services. And actually, on Thursday, we'll be doing deliveries in the Mountain View area. It's with Second Harvest Food Bank doing nonprofit food deliveries to some of their homebound seniors. And so, you know, there are deliveries happening now with our autonomous technology. Whether that's widely available for commercial services, we work with a variety of kind of those leading brands as national partners, and hopefully there'll be some announcements soon on when that commercial service will be available for the general public here in the Mountain View area.
Yeah, and all I can say is that if there were future plans to launch a similar service that exists in Arizona, Waymo One, in California, that would undergo a very similar process to how it was rolled out in Arizona. So I'm not, necessarily announcing intention, but I just want to give the public an idea of kind of how long it typically takes to roll out an autonomous ride-hail service. And in Arizona, we started testing in 2017, and then we launched in October 2020. Not to say that is the exact timeline that would take place if we did pursue California, but just to give an idea of kind of the steps that are needed to take.
I'm excited to try it out, so keep us updated, Noelle.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna end with one question, and I know there's so many more in the chat. So I think that I see that each of our panelists has kindly tried to put in links to answer some of those questions. They put in their email addresses. And as Sydnee mentioned, she has some office hours, so you can dive in and pick her brain. Because Sydnee, I see there's lots of technical questions about, L4 versus L5 and LiDAR versus radar. So I'm going to let you tackle that at 10:10. But where can people stay updated on AVs? What are good sources of information for them if they want to learn more? I know the industry's constantly changing.
I'll quickly just mention PAVE is one of the partners. That would be one I'd recommend folks look to. And then at least for Aurora, we post a lot on our blog. So you can do deep dives there. So I'd recommend those two.
Yeah, I'll chime in as well. There are some videos online that PAVE has posted with discussions with industry experts. That's really good. There's actually some user videos online as well. I'll just give a plug for Waymo has some users in their Chandler service where you can ride along with a user that's gone ahead through their driverless services. That's a great resource as well. And all of our companies have blogs on our website as well. Yeah, that have that information there.
Similarly, our website and our blog are good opportunities to get updates on what Waymo is working on. If you visit our general website, at the bottom, there are links to our blog, and then also Let's Talk Autonomous Driving, where we have that kind of education online resource available with a third-party community perspective on some of the benefits of AVs.
Great. Thank you all so much. I, want to thank you for taking the time out to share with us all the exciting updates that are happening with your company. I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this amazing conversation. And I want to thank all of our attendees. I know I tried really hard to start us off with some questions and then try to get to all of yours. And I know that there's more. So I like the AMA style Q&A that's happening with Sydnee at 10:10. So encourage everyone to go there. And this will be recorded and sent out. So, and you have everyone's contact information. So thank you all for joining us. Hope you have a really great day. And I think we're just going to have this panel every year so we stay up to date on everything that's happening. So everyone have a great day.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you, everybody.